Stablemates All the Way and Evil Empire have been withdrawn through injury, while French stayer Montrochet has raced well below expectations. That leaves 4. Arctic Owl, trained in Great Britain by James Fanshawe, has won 9 races, including the Shergar Cup over 2,400 metres and a last start win in the Irish St Leger over 2,800 metres. Lightning Arrow, trained by John Dunlop, has only 2 wins to his name. The furthest over 2,400 metres at Newmarket in July. Far Cry is one of the favourites for the Cup, having won 9 races in the care of Martin Pipe. Like Vintage Crop, the Irish gelding has mixed flat form, with some hurdling. And although his best win was last year in the Doncaster Cup over 3,600 metres, 2 recent seconds in the Ascot Gold Cup and the Goodwood Cup give him outstanding credentials. It's worth remembering that his conqueror at Ascot was Keith Tara, who arrived in Australia with a fanfare last year, before breaking down and failing to make it to the post for the Cup. The final overseas contender will be staying on in Australia, having been bought by 2-time Cup-winning owner Lloyd Williams for a reputed $500,000. Enzeli is the winner of the 1999 Ascot Gold Cup and this year's Doncaster Cup, and with 6 wins from 13 starts, the 6-year-old may well have his best form ahead of him. And with Persian Punch and Central Park running places in the last 2 years, Enzeli's best form just might do the trick.
Well, it's an unknown. I wonder if they're going to take our Cup away. What do you know about the overseas horses, Jen? You're a keen student of overseas form.
Yes, I've seen a few of the replays. There's a lot of form being lined up with Persian Punch. He's raced in many of the races that Enzeli, Arctic Owl, and also the other one have run in. And
Far Cry.
Far Cry. And Far Cry, I've got to say, I think he's probably the best horse to come out here. They do like these sort of conditions as well, Pete, with a little bit of rain and giving the track.
Rich, it's not always the best performed horse, though, that wins, is it? It's the one that settles in best.
I was just about to make that exact point. Thanks for that.
I read your mind.
I'm more interested in how the horses actually acclimatise out here and how they do in Australia, and that's a horsey term. How they do means how well they feel, how well they eat, how well they train. So I'm more interested in that, and that's the horse I'll be tipping of the internationals. Be the one that my spies tell me has done the best.
And I just read Richard Freedman's mind just again there, but unfortunately I can't tell you what he was thinking. Let's see, they race differently in the European staying races. They go at a much slower pace and the fields are much smaller too.
Well, this is where we get the form from overseas. Pete, we see horses won 6 out of 10 and things like that. And you look back through the form, there've been 4 runners in each race. They come here on Tuesday, they got 24 runners, hustle-bustle race. We seen what happened to Sky Heights last year, didn't we? Drawn barrier 1.
Can be tough.
Tough racing, and I think the way that the horse raced last year that Frankie Dettori rode, he rode him in front, he was out of all the trouble, Central Park, just coasted along. That was the best form I think we've seen out of any of the Melbourne Cup horses, the overseas, except for Vintage Crop, of course. But it's a different ball game here. Jockeys jump out, they look for the fence, and a year later, didn't we have Mike Kinane was just about hung for the way he rode.
5 wide all the way.
5 wide all the way,
yeah.
But they do that overseas and they can win because there's 5 and 6 runners. But here you get 24 of them out there and hustle bustle. Everyone wants a spot when they've gone 2 furlongs.
A bit of track bias in there as well, and you got problems.
Yeah,
so,
Rich, what about Montrachet? I was disappointed in him the other day. I thought he was going to win on the corner. That might be one horse that does actually acclimatise in the couple of weeks it's had between its run the other day.
He did cop some interference in the Caulfield Cup, but I don't know that they're going to persevere for the Melbourne Cup. We'll find out today when he runs in the Louis Vuitton McKinnon Stakes. We're getting ever closer to the first. We're around about 15 minutes away. Shortly we'll take a look at those tote figures and see what they've come up on the opening race. But in the meantime, let's head to the Channel 10 marquee. And once again, here's Sandra Sally.
Thank you, Peter. I'm joined today by somebody who has a great deal of influence in terms of fashion in Australia. He's the fashion forecaster for Grace Brothers Myer, and Shane Carroll joins me now. Good morning, Shane. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Sandra.
Now, Shane, you've had a little look around at Flemington. What have you seen so far in terms of fashion?
I've seen a lot of diversity. I think that's one thing that's really exciting about this season, is that there's something for everybody, which really reflects that basically personal style and interest and taste levels are being catered to, which is great for everyone.
Now, there is something for everyone, but some key trends have been emerging of late. I mean, I think everyone's starting to dress up a little, but in some way it's a little less structured.
Definitely. I think the great thing about this season is that there is a real diversity, as I said earlier, but there are some key trends. I mean, pink, as you're wearing today, we'll see that in every shade, every item.
Sorry.
No, fantastic. Also, we're going to see a lot of return of colour right across the board, and there'll be some fun. So there'll be feathers and glitter, but also some very elegant, easy looks. And again, that's what's great about a day like today and fashion where it is at the moment.
Now, fashion is synonymous with horse racing. Hats are an integral part of the whole scene, and yet, you know, these days there are so many interesting and credible alternatives. A hat is still a must or not?
Well, I think hats are great and they often complete the outfit, but they're not for everybody, and I think it's important to recognise what you're comfortable in. Some food people feel a little overwhelmed, so flowers in the hair looked great last year and they still look equally as appealing. But seeing lots of scarves and things like that in the hair and alternatives, which look fantastic, and again, it's about what suits you and you feel comfortable. We can't go wrong with that.
We know that you will be a judge this afternoon in Fashions on the Field, and I know you're going to enjoy that, as our viewers at home will, because we have a fantastic fashion competition, and we'll be giving those details a little later. Shane Carroll, thanks for joining us. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
OK. It's back to you, Peter, and Mounting Yard.
Thank you, Sandra. Well, I'm actually in the studio at the moment, but down in the Mounting Yard, as you're referring to, we've swapped places a little bit. Tim Webster, you're down there. Good morning to you again.
Hello, Pete. Yes, I'm sorry. I was just having a long chat to Don here. This fella's pretty special. They call him the Freak. Tell us why, Don Elgin.
Oh, mate, I think it's because I can't make up my mind what event I want to do, so that I go and try all of them.
100, 200, 400, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I got a good lot of coaches clip me around the ear when I need one and say, righto, Don, focus on this one now. So
Don's a Paralympian, of course, and there is his, as my cameraman shifts back, hold it up for you. There's his bronze medal for the pentathlon, and a very proud fella when you run that. Look at that. Aren't they beautiful? There's the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. It was special, Don, wasn't it? The Olympic Games, the Paralympics in Sydney, just an awesome event.
Oh, absolutely. I think watching the Olympic Games, there was like millions of people, no doubt, around the world saying, geez, I'd love to get out there and do that. And the Paralympic Games, like every Paralympian had that opportunity. We got out there and we did exactly what we trained for. You know, we bust our butt for 4.5 years or more to do that, and to get out there and have the crowd response, have the games go so well. It's something that you just stand up and say, geez, I'm bloody proud to be here. To come home with something extra, a little bit extra jewellery, I'm wrapped, yeah, so I'm very happy with that.
You know, words like courageous and brave are used to describe you guys, but apart from that, you're elite athletes, you in particular.
Yeah, certainly that's one thing that we've been working at now, is to sort of try and ditch the courageous side of things and says, well, have a look at us for being sports people, and then sure, if we're courageous after that, then we'll wear that. But we're certainly sports people first, and we want to get out there and just show, you know, what we do and what we do is sport.
How did your accident happen? How did you lose the limb?
Well, I was very fortunate. I didn't have an accident. I had a head start. I was born without mine. So, as I said, like growing up without a leg was one of those advantages, I suppose, to getting into life and just appreciating every bit of life that I have. And so I realised that, you know, life's short. I'm not going to sit around whinging. I'm going to get out there and enjoy it.
Well, mate, you've certainly done that. We're very proud of you. It was a great games. Thanks for joining us today. Have a good day at the races. You like anything?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, I'm in a syndicate at work with Post, and I'm liking Bush Parade, just quietly.
Bush Parade, all right, there you go. There's a tip from Don, Pete.
Yes, well done to Don, Tim, and all of our Paralympians. And there's a special guest here at AAMI Victoria Derby Day. Richard Branson is here with us. He's been making a bit of a splash over the last couple of weeks or so, hanging off a helicopter the other day. He doesn't do things by halves. We're going to take a break. We're getting ever closer to the running of the first race. Crystal Finale is the favourite on the tote at round about $4.40. We'll be checking in on that situation when we come back to Flemington on AAMI Victoria Derby Day. Still no information available to us as yet for the Queensland tote, but you can see that Scalato is the favourite at the moment. Universal Prince certainly well in the betting. Look at the odds about Falls the Shadow number 8. I don't think it'll be those odds come race time. Sale of Century is also in the betting. We've got good each way odds about Hit the Roof, number 10, and number 14, Bush Padre, the one out of the Freedman stable. Getting out a little bit on the Super Tab, but it's still very, very popular. Well, the key word today is elegance, and they're out on the lawns here at Flemington, and they've cast their eyes over the horses as they head to the gates for the first, so we're going to have a look at the tote figures on race 1 and see what your fancy is showing at the moment, with round about 4 minutes of betting time remaining prior to the running of the first. And they're all in the car parks and getting the chicken and champagne ready. And no doubt they'll be passing the chicken over the fence to Jen and I, as they generally do late in the afternoon. Jen, unfortunately, generally it's the bones. May have something to do with our tipping performance. Anyway, we'll have a look at those totes for the first in just a moment. There's the scene on the lawn here at Flemington, with the hill stand on the left with the red seats and the magnificent new members grandstand, $50 million being officially opened today. And it is luxury at its best there. The members stand. Well, while we're waiting on those tote figures for the first, why don't we go down to the betting ring, find out what's been going on there on the Derby and also on the first. Tim Gossage is just the man to tell us.
Peter Scalato is clear-cut favourite for the Derby, and surprisingly, Bush Padre is considered the third best runner in the race down the bottom there. He's only 7-1, but I can tell you at the moment it is 2-1 Scalato. He is the pre-post Derby favourite. In this first, they've backed Crystal Finale. It's going to jump the favourite down in the bookmaker's ring, but the best money has come from the top weight Pieces, and also at very long each way odds, Marinello. He currently is $18 on the tote, about 5 points shorter in the ring, and Pieces likewise. But Crystal Finale will jump favourite in the first. That's in the ring, Tim Gossage, and we're going to have a look at those tote figures now on race number 1. And Crystal Finale is the favourite, as we said, $4.40 a little while ago, out to $4.50 on Super Tab, and it is the favourite all the way through. And you can see the Queensland and New South Wales figures there. Pieces is at good each way odds. Number 4, Paternal, is in the betting, where Abinda has its supporters. Number 7, Burley, also well in contention, probably the second pick at the moment. Over the page we go. Sporting Scribe at good each way odds. Marinello is also in contention, and Costa's off my selection in the race, number 14, down there at $7.40, and you can write your own ticket about Count Virgo. So there are the tote figures. Super Tab, Queensland and New South Wales for the first, the Carbine Club Stakes. And recapping the selections from the expert panel, Jennifer, Richard, Dan and Gary have all gone for Crystal Finale, which comes out of Matthew Ellerton's stable. I've gone for Costa's Off, which also comes out of Matthew Ellerton's stable, and it's Pieces from Johnny Letts here in the first, which is trained by Jack Denham and to be ridden by Darren Beedman. Well, these horses make their way over to the far side of the track. They start beside the Maribyrnong River, and as we showed you before with the Strathfield race predictor, they want to get a position pretty quickly, and this is the thing that worries me about Costa's Off. Looks as though he may either have to go up forward in the early stages of the race or get back. There he is there, Costa's Off, this very handsome chestnut. As they begin to move in, let's go down to Mark Aston, who got the thoughts of Jimmy Cassidy, who'll be piloting Paternal here in the first race.
Jimmy, what chance Paternal?
Yeah, well, just depends on how they're going to race. Obviously, I'll probably go forward a little bit from the alley. You know, his last run probably didn't look as good, but he got back, probably on a bit of a biased track. So, look, connections assure me that he's done well, and they expect him to run very well.
Jimmy Cassidy talking to Mark Aston a little earlier as the runners fill the gates now for the first. Gary Willits always casts an eye over on these runners as they make their way to the gates. And Gary, what impressed you on the way to the stalls for the first?
Yes, thanks, Peter. Look, the 3, Crystal Finale, really looked beautiful. So did the 4, Paternal, and the 5, Warrabinda. And if you like the toppy, he looked very well going down, Pieces.
Now only about 4 of them to move into the gates. Crystal Finale is one of them. He stands out. He's got a big white blaze at Costa's Off.
Needs a bit of luck from 17.
And you'd think he'd be sitting wide. He's got plenty of potential, however, and he's about to go into the stalls now. Just about set for the first event of the carnival. It's the William Inglis Carbine Club Stakes, Group 3 over 1,600 metres. Track rated slow.
Thank you, boys.
And they're off and racing in the first event. Perhaps a little bit slow to begin was Bevan, and Costa's off and Sporting Scribe out the back in the early part of the race. Our Winged Foot, Neptune's Journey, Pieces all jumped well. Inspire as Neptune's Journey took up the lead from Pieces, and Schmooze in the blue colours is working its way across now, so it draws up and gets past Neptune's Journey. Pieces is up to third. Fourth on the inside was Inspire, then Count Virgo. 2 lengths Crystal Finale. Marinello back on the fence, a length away in the purple and red colours Damavand, and then came Woorabinda. Wider out was Paternal midfield from Costa's off. Next was Burley. Back on the fence is Sophie's Rule from Sporting Scribe. Bevan second last. Our Winged Foot allowed to drift back is now last and about 12 to 14 lengths off the lead. About 1,000 metres to go, and the leader Schmooze about 3/4 of a length in front of Neptune's Journey, who now hooks around it, so it's one off the fence. 2 lengths away Pieces on the outside of Inspire. 2 lengths to Count Virgo. Marinello back on the rails is 6th, and then came Crystal Finale up to the turn. Woorabinda's back on the fence. A little wider out was Costa's off. Damavand, and wider still Sporting Scribe round the bend. About 500 metres to travel, and Schmooze. The Kiwi leads into the straight from Neptune's Journey. Pieces third, Inspire right behind them on the fence fourth. 2 lengths to Woorabinda. Crystal Finale ridden along, but it's into the clear, and Sporting Scribe wider out. Neptune's Journey at the 300 went to the lead. Inspire trying to hook around them. Further out Sporting Scribe and Crystal Finale getting home well. Neptune's Journey in front. After it was Inspire the bolter. Crystal Finale knuckling down, and Sporting Scribe. It's Inspire, Sporting Scribe, Crystal Finale, Neptune's Journey. It's Inspire in front near the line, and Inspire perhaps has just lasted from Sporting Scribe, and Neptune's Journey. Crystal Finale just died on its run in the last 50 metres. They were followed home by Woorabinda and Marinello. Next home was Our Winged Foot, who made up ground from Burley, never got into it. Neither did a lot of the horses back in the field. Costa's off and Bevan, and then Schmooze. Towards the rear was Paternal, Sophie's Rule, Damavand Weekend, and Pieces also knocked up, and pulling up very quickly was Count Virgo. It's a photo. The bolter Inspire in front of Stride from home, and has just hung on, number 10.
Yeah, great win. Clary Connors trained, ridden by Larry Cassidy. Drew one, had a nice run, came out at the right time, went to the line, fought them all off actually, Dan.
It was a good effort. He had the box seat run though, Gary, didn't he? Which was so important. Larry Cassidy. Sporting Scribe was probably the best run. It was about 8 wide coming around the turn, and was the only horse from about worse than about 6th or 7th that actually made up ground, and it made up really good ground.
Very good. And those who backed Costa's off, I noticed it had no luck at all early. It got trapped wide and very hard to win. You're on that big sweeping bend out wide. There's not a lot you can do.
10, 9 and 15, so that's 10 Inspire, 9 Sporting Scribe and 15 Neptune's Journey, who fought on well. Crystal Finale's a little bit disappointing over the last 50th weekend. 1:37.9 the time. Here's Mark Aston.
Well, it could be a huge day for Clary Connors. Congratulations, a great start in the first.
Yeah, it was terrific, very exciting. Their hopes were a bit dampened when the track was soft and that. But Larry's rode there was twice now for 2 wins, and he relaxes beautifully for him, and you know, and we had a little wager on today each way, but this is the race to come now for this and the Sandown Guinea, so he went well. Very happy with the horse.
Larry, we'll have a chat to Larry soon, but it looks as though that's the place to be, on the fence around up near the lead.
Yeah, well, he was up there, you know, he drew the good barrier one. Where else can you be? You know, you've got to be on the fence. But, you know, he rode him well, and we got the money. That's the main thing.
I know it's been an awkward time for you over the last 24 hours in regard to some things that have happened over the last week. Very quickly, Scalato's chances.
I think he'll win for sure.
Good on you, Clary. Good luck. Clary Connors there.
Thank you, Mark. And here's the replay of the closing stages. Terrific finish to open up proceedings on Derby Day with Inspire in the yellow colours, Sporting Scribe on the outside a bit, over on the rail Neptune's Journey, Crystal Finale in between them, and that horse has gone to the line pretty strongly. Now, as Gary Willett said, Costa's off, got trapped off the track. Crystal Finale got a nice drag along, Jen, in the race, and looked as though it was probably going to present itself at this point. Just couldn't run on with the others.
Yes, he just died in his run the last 50 metres there, Peter, but he did have every chance.
Rich, what do you think this tells us about the track?
I think the track is going to play towards the leaders early in the day. I don't think there's much doubt about that. They did go reasonably slow in that race, which gave the leading division a bit of an advantage, because it's very hard when they're going slow in front to make up ground from the back, and I think that's what possibly cost Costa's off and Crystal Finale their chance.
So let's see, what are we looking for? We're looking for horses that have drawn good barriers, or horses that have got early gate speed in these circle races?
I think that's going to be important today, Pete, that they draw a good gate. That horse drew barrier 1, had a lovely run all the way. But then again, we look at the second horse, drew 16. So they just have to handle the conditions.
He's a good rider, Larry Cassidy. He won the Derby aboard Arena here 2 years ago. He takes out the first on Amy Victoria Derby Day 2000. The time, importantly, 1:37.9, 3.9 seconds outside the record. The numbers are 10, 9 and 15. We'll take a break and be back with the weight signal and the dividends on the first, the William Inglis Carbine Club Stakes. Ritual over the next week. Chairman of Stewards, Mr. Des Gleeson, standing beside the scales, waiting for the riders to come up, and they'll hand over the skull cap and the whip, and hopefully get to the allotted weight. And then we'll have the signal, the familiar signal from Mr. Des Gleeson, and hopefully that will enable us to pay you the dividends. There's Craig Williams up on the scales. What a return to race riding he's had since coming back from Europe. Just keeps on riding winner after winner. Who's the last of them on the scales, and we do have correct weight. Weight is right after the running of the first event, and that is the William Inglis Carbine Club Stakes for the numbers of 10, 9 and 15, and with weight there, and there's the winner in the mounting yard. Here are the official dividends around Australia with Dan Malicki.
And some big dividends too, Pete. Inspire, $93.70 on the Super Tab tote for the win, $21.50 for the place. 9 Sporting Scribe, $5.10, and $5.40 for Neptune's Journey, third number 15. Quinella, $722.60. Quinella been able to get first and second. Exacta is first and second in that order, first and second in exact order, $1,128. And the trifecta, what about this for a start, Pete? 10, 9, 15. Trifecta's paid $25,185.90. 10, 9, 15, Pete, on the first, all clear.
Well, it's a pretty good start for someone, isn't it, Dan? There's the head-on of the first race, and you can see the winner just shifting out a little bit in the closing stages. Inspire. Crystal Finale probably a little bit cramped for room, but it certainly didn't affect the result. So 10, 9 and 15. Let's see what the wash-up was after the first and look ahead towards the second in the betting ring. Tim Gossage.
Peter, I can tell you, to my left is the payout queues, and there isn't any. No one backed the winner. It was a big drifter on course, Inspire, in the first, so bookmakers have made a classy start to Derby Day, and in the Derby, Scalado is 9-4 in early betting. Universal Prince is at 4-1, and then there's about 4 or 5 horses, Salem Century, and also Bush Padre about 8-1. Oamaru Force, they reckon it might open up in the red in the second.
All right, well, let's see what it has come up on the tote as we get ready for the presentation after the running of the first. This horse is very smart, Oamaru Force, and it is a big test coming all the way to Flemington on Derby Day, but I think that he will probably live up to the test. But certainly against the likes of Road to Success, Cosset, and this horse Cheffel, which was most impressive coming down the straight the other day, it is going to be some sort of race. The second, the Shivers Regal, and there are the totes. And you can see that the ones in the betting here are number 4, Cosset, which has come up pretty short, probably because Jen's tipped it. Cheffel number 5 is round about the $8.10 mark. You've got good each way odds about Gifted Ground. Mark Aston's already told us that the Hayes stable is pretty keen about number 8, and that is St Petersburg. It's about the $12 mark. Now, Oamaru Force has come up pretty short at $2.30 on Super Tab, $2.50 Queensland, and a lot better in New South Wales, but that price will tumble in and probably get closer to the $2.50 mark. Why have you gone for Cosset, Jennifer?
Well, Peter, I just think for the value sake of it here, number 4's got a terrific chance in this. His form has been very good. He's won 4 out of 7, and I just can't knock his form. Oamaru Force, I've never seen a horse get out of the barriers as quick as this horse in my life. He flies out of the gates, and he's very good, but just at the odds, Cosset.
So, Oamaru Force for most of us, Cheffel and Cosset also getting a mention. Now, let's have a look at the predictor for race 2 over the 1,200 metres, and of course we don't have to worry about any turns here, Richard, because it is straight going all the way. And what about the track? Does it rise or fall much? Because the track here at Flemington is fairly flat.
It is a reasonably flat track. There are a few rises and falls as it crosses from the chute onto the course proper, where the horses actually come down the camber on the course proper onto the running rail. But I don't think the camera here has got us in the middle of the course. I think most of the chances will be hard up against that outside rail where you can see the roses, and that's where I think Oamaru Force will run.
Can the trainers tell definitely which side of the track is better?
No, they can't tell definitely, but they get quite a lot of experience of trying to predict which side's going to be better, and I think the form of that straight course has been that the outside has been generally quicker recently.
8, 9 and 7 from the Strathfield race predictor, 8, 9 and 7 for the second, and it has something in common with us after the first. We were nowhere near it.
None for none.
None for none. Pretty hard to have, especially when the trifecta pays $23,000. Haven't the staff here at Flemington done a wonderful job, and don't they do it every year, not by keeping the champagne on ice, which is all very nice for later on in the day, but the roses, they always are timed to the minute. They're a bit like a Bart Cummings preparation, aren't they?
They are. They're very on the day.
My roses haven't bloomed at all this year.
And I don't look after them.
Yeah, watering them might help, actually.
They're soursop.
Time now for the presentation after the first, so let's head down to the Managing Director of William Inglis & Sons Limited, Mr. Reg Inglis.
Mr. Johnson, committee, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honour to be here on behalf of William Inglis to present the trophy to the winning connections. My congratulations go to them, to Clary Connors, to Larry Cassidy, who's won this race now 3 years in a row. It's now, I think it's become his race, the first on Derby Day. It is, of course, the great day's racing on the Australian turf. And without any further to say, I'd like Mr. Kurt Clark to come forward and accept the trophy on behalf of the owners. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Reg Inglis, and thanks to the company, William Inglis & Sons Limited. Richard was just telling me that they've been involved in the horse business for more than 100 years, and let's he confirm that for me because he said he bought one 100 years ago.
There was a horse called Archer.
Yes, he did very well.
Won the first Melbourne Cup.
And you got pretty fit when you walked down from Sydney. The next, the Shivers Regal, coming up at 12 o'clock on Derby Day. The favourite for the Derby, Scalato, striding away to win the Caulfield Guineas. As it turns out, there has been controversy surrounding that win, and we'll be talking more about that as the Derby gets closer. But Paddy Payne did a magnificent job on him that day, and I'm sure he will again today. Time to check the official dividends once again after the running of the first event here on Amy Victoria Derby Day. So let's take a look at those now. And as we've already told you, a big dividend coming up with the trifecta, especially on Super Tab, paying round about the $25,000 mark. Big odds Inspire, and it was pretty hard to have too. But if you've started off with a winner, well, I think the champagne will already be flowing. Sporting Scribe second, $5.10. And Neptune's Journey third, $5.40. Quinella $722 on Super Tab, and a huge trifecta wherever you may be in Australia. And apparently we're being told that the Strathfield race predictor picked Neptune's Journey in the placings there, so it started off with some good odds. You look suitably impressed, you lot, too.
It gets a few picks, we only get one.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's a very good point.
We would have got it.
I had that in second, I just didn't get it on air.
And you had the winner in third.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Jen, why don't we take our walk down to the mounting yard? Looking forward to that.
Yes, it's good fun. See all the sights.
Rich, best of luck with Bush Padre later in the day.
Thanks, Pete. I appreciate that. I'm sure it'll be a great day regardless whether we win or lose, but just good to be here with a chance.
And let's see, give Banjo my best. I hope he's not feeling too bad after my little effort yesterday, but I'm sure he'll be pretty happy to have you on board.
He's still getting over the shock of you on his back last night.
I think he is too, but we'll look forward to seeing you out there on the track. We'll look forward to seeing you from the mounting yard very shortly, so let's hand over proceedings from the studio to the Channel 10 marquee. Once again, the beautiful Sandra Sully.
Hello, Peter. Yes, it's great to be with you this afternoon, or I think it's still morning, isn't it? In fabulous Flemington. Now, we're giving all of our viewers at home, if you can't be here, part of the action and the excitement. We've got some great opportunities for you to win some prizes. 2 great competitions this week, but our first one is our fashion competition for the viewers at home. Now, each day, one lucky viewer will be given the opportunity to win a host of fabulous prizes. They include, courtesy of Qantas, a trip for 2 to Melbourne, a fabulous weekend in the Yarra Valley, courtesy